Did you know that prog rock and metal find their echo in the most unexpected place? The soundtrack to your favorite Nintendo game? Marvel at how the intricate compositions of legendary bands like Rush, yes, and Pink Floyd share an unlikely harmony with the iconic melodies of Mario, Zelda, and more. Traditional music and award shows are losing their allure, with over 103 million viewers on YouTube discovering something extraordinary at the Game Awards. Video games are the new frontier for musical evolution. Are you a video game music fanatic? Is early Nintendo music really just prog rock?
No.
What did I just say? So, this past year, I think you guys are going to appreciate this. The Grammys had 12.4 million viewers.
Okay.
All right. The Oscars had 18.7 million viewers. Brian will appreciate this. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame doesn't list it.
Of course they don't.
But
That is the least surprising fact I've learned today.
What? A lack of transparency at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
they don't list it, but they had 25,000 views on YouTube.
Okay.
Isn't that crazy?
That's not a lot.
That's not a lot. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, yeah, they had 25,000 views.
That sucks.
That's so terrible. We have like 10 times that. All right.
We have tips for you, Rock and Roll Hall.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, just close.
Yeah, stop.
Stop it. So the Game Awards is streaming live tomorrow.
Whoa.
And last year they had 103 million total viewers.
Wow.
That's something else. So I think that there is this low-key thing happening where, like, the Oscars, the Grammys, like all these award shows are becoming completely out of touch with reality because the art on video games and the passion for the fan base is way bigger. And I can remember that as a kid, too, like being like, this is amazing, but it wasn't legitimized at all. In fact, the first instance of an award in one of these major award shows it was in 2022. A Grammy Award went to Stephanie Economou for Assassin's Creed, getting best music in a video game or like a best song or something like that. But that was last year. So you've got all these artists that we're going to talk about today that have never gotten any accolades whatsoever in these mainstream shows.
To your point of the Grammys and the Oscars kind of being out of touch, I would say that there's like a fundamental difference in the way the target audience of the entertainment industry, music or movies or television, and the way the video game industry, there's a fundamental difference in the way that the consumer interacts with the product. You know, movies, TV, music, that's all very passive. It can be active, like you can sing along and stuff like that, but video games are really the only domain in which you can interact with your environment and change your environment. You know what I mean?
Well, it's a weird thing to even talk about because on one hand, you know, a video game, you are almost a co-creator of the experience, right? It's almost like being given an instrument and saying, I've designed this beautiful instrument for you to have fun with. Do what you want with it. That's very different than saying, this is the song I have prepared, listen to it.
Right, yeah.
So when you're giving out awards for video games, you're almost rewarding yourself in a way, or you're rewarding just the average person how they can use that tool to make something great. It's just a very different experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you guys watch Bandersnatch?
No.
The was it Black Mirror thing?
Oh, the interactive one?
Yeah.
How was that?
It's cool. Yeah, there's a couple different ways where you just you have different storylines.
What's it, like a pick your own adventure?
It's a choose your own adventure thing.
Oh, wow.
I thought that was going to really take off, and it didn't go anywhere.
My son watches a Minecraft show on Netflix that has choose your own adventure elements to it.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, he loves it. He thinks it's like the coolest thing.
It's so cool.
He goes back and watches it and makes all the different choices so he can like see what happens. You know, so he watches it a bunch of times because of that.
Wow. See, that's... We're talking about gamifying. The gamifying in corporate world is you're gamifying like a normal task,
right?
And but games are already gamified, so they can't gamify that already. The music, right now, the music is what?
I mean, there are games embedded inside games.
Are you Easter egging the concept of an Easter egg?
Yeah, that's what it is. It's like, for example, and I've been playing a lot of Zelda recently. I'm sure we'll talk about it, but
a lot of time on planes playing Zelda at 4
man,
o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, you saw me
sure
playing Breath of the Wild on an airplane at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Like there are mini games inside games, like, oh, you're exploring this town and oh, there's a stall that there's like a game of chance that you can play.
It's a whole world within a world within a world.
In a world.
In a world. In a world.
In a world. In a world where one man.
So what I'd like to discuss is a couple of different, I guess, comparisons now. Because, like, we could go on and on about the composers. There's tons of composers. We'll talk about a few. But if you talk about prog rock bands that have been hand-selected to sell millions of records, you've got only a bunch, really. You got Jethro Tull had 11 million albums sold, according to the RIAA. You've got Yes, 13.5 million albums sold. Mm-hmm. Genesis, 21.5. The question is there, though.
Were those the prog Genesis records, or
right.
were those the poppy ones? Was it Invisible Touch, or is it Lamb Lies Down on Broadway?
I would say half of those are Invisible Touch.
Yeah.
Rush, 24 million albums sold. Pink Floyd, 75 million. And the Moody Blues sold over 10 million albums.
We should say the original lead singer of the Moody Blues died yesterday, Denny Lane.
Is that right?
So there we go.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's a good segue for not what I'm about to say.
For sadness.
Yeah, it's
Come to me for all your sadness segues. I got plenty.
Follow me.
Denny Lane, remembered here on Real Brave Life.
So each band has had numerous awards, such as Jethro Tull famously got Best Metal.
The first ever Best Metal Grammy.
Yeah, and they beat out Metallica for And Justice for All, which is like, it's ridiculous. All these bands have had Grammys. Genesis had 5, Rush has had 7, Floyd 4. The Moody Blues have never been nominated for a Grammy. That's weird.
I don't know.
You don't care?
I'm not a Moody Blues guy.
Yeah.
I like exactly one Moody Blues song.
Nights in White Satin?
No, Go Now.
Gonads?
Gonads, yes. The one that Denny Lane sang, Go Now, is their first single.
Oh.
It's not it sounds like a blues, it's like kind of a blues rock thing. It's not at all what you'd expect from the Moody Blues.
Do you know any Moody Blues?
Nope.
All right, well, you lose. Nights in White Satin is the only one I know. But their biggest hit was ineligible in 1972 when it rose to number 2 in the Hot 100 because it had first been released in 1968. But none of the video games in the past 40 years, 42 years, 50 years have never been nominated for a Grammy. What the fuck is that? It's weird.
I mean, I think part of it is just that until relatively recently, there weren't a lot of soundtracks sold. You couldn't buy the Mario Brothers soundtrack in 1986. Right, so that's how the Grammys decide these things. Is that they go by the physical product.
But they're sold. SoundScan or some sort of SoundScan exists.
True, but there's not what we would consider self-contained songs. Like the Mario Brothers theme plays for as long as you're in that level. You know what I mean? And is interrupted by the theme when you get a star or a theme when you go underground or whatever else.
Or when you die.
Do 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 do.
Yeah. Yeah. So
it's not songs per se the way we think about songs as a commodity or as a product, like 4 to 6 minutes, which are 4 minutes are the ones the Grammys consider.
I think I'm looking at it from an artistic point of view. The first time I ever heard someone here at Real Brave play a Mario Brothers song was the theme, and it was maybe 12 years ago, and I was like, it just dawned upon me, like, holy crap, that's an actual piece of music. It's not a video game song, and the stigma that's attached to that must have been awful.
I would agree with that. I mean, it
hearing it, you're like, oh my god, yeah, it's the thing.
Yeah.
Everybody knows it.
I wonder if there was or is a similar stigma to film music. Do classical composers hear the Jurassic Park theme and they're like, listen to this jerk off doing this simple stuff? Like, does that feel slight to them in a kind of a similar way?
Well, the John Williams of the world don't feel that way.
But he's a film composer, not a, I can't name a 21st century classical composer because I'm not knowledgeable about that. But like, do those people look down on film music as simplistic or something else?
They shouldn't. If you look at the audience for video game music, you can argue that it's almost bigger than movies.
Are you saying
Fortnite in general is ridiculously big?
For video games is bigger, or the audience for video game music is bigger?
The audience for the video game itself is gigantic. People don't go to the movies to listen to the music. So it's an integral part of the experience. People don't buy a video game for the music, but end up listening to it over and over again on YouTube. Like, you go to some of these channels. Yeah. The one channel that I found that will listen to some of the music, it's got a following.
Yeah.
And you can't say that for, John Williams is the exception. Who's the guy who's the...
Danny Elfman, maybe, from Oingo Boingo, Howard Shore.
When I found out he was an Oingo Boingo, I didn't know what to do with myself.
Why?
Because I never made the connection, and it was odd. It was an odd thing. Danny Elfman was in Oingo Boingo. And didn't they get back together and go on tour?
I think so, yeah.
Do you know who Oingo Boingo is?
No, you guys are speaking gibberish to me.
They're an 80s band. Have you ever seen the movie Back to School with Rodney Dangerfield?
Nope.
They are in that movie.
Okay.
So.
You need to do yourself a favor,
my
friend, and to do the triple Lindy.
What?
It's a Back to School reference.
Yeah. Okay. It's a triple Lindy, right?
I think so, yeah.
I
haven't seen Back to School in about 25 years, but
it is a classic.
I'm going to just stay at the double Lindy, I think, and see where it takes me in life. I think
it's a good 80s movie. Like, it's not like gonna change your life.
I like
but having Rodney,
I love Caddyshack.
It is similar to Caddyshack.
Okay.
Yeah, in that way, it's got Rodney Dangerfield.
Yeah.
How do we get on this?
Danny Elfman in
Danny Elfman. Yeah.
Back to School.
So what we're the first part of this is like video games have their own show that gives an award. It's got 100 million people watching it, apparently. 100 million views, anyway. And it's not getting the same credit that the Danny Elfmans and the John Williams of the world. Like, this guy that I went to high school with, nobody knows who he is, but he's a very successful composer. He started video games.
And when you think about it, for a video game user, Kevin, you're more of a gamer than I am. How many hours do you think it takes you to play a Zelda game?
About 30.
Okay, so
30 hours?
Yeah, so if you're playing for 30 hours with the sound up...
That's it. No, hang on. It depends on the game.
Sure, yes. but what I'm saying is, let's say 30 hours is the standard for conversation.
Sure.
If you're playing with the sound up, you're hearing that music for 30 hours.
Yeah.
That is, you'd have to watch a movie 15 times to hear the music for as long as you play that game.
Yeah, no.
Not everybody listens with the sound on. I understand that. Other people, they're listening to Fish or whatever other weirdos listen to when they play games. But, it's...
That's why you get such a nostalgia trip when you go and you hear any of these themes that you grew up with. So the first time I played Ocarina of Time, I was like...
The Macarena, that's all I hear.
All
I hear is the Macarena.
Ocarina of Time.
Please play the Macarena right now.
The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. The first time I played Ocarina was
Macarena.
The Macarena. The Ocarina of Time. I was 10 or 11. And I played it all the way through when I was 10 or 11. And the next time I played it, I was 21. And playing it at 21... it was such a trip because all of the sounds, the sound effects, all of the soundtracks were just I didn't realize how deeply embedded they were in my memory.
Yeah.
And being able to singing along with a theme that I had heard 10 years prior. And then I played it again at 26, and then I played it again recently at 33.
Yeah.
So
all this stuff that we're talking about, this nostalgia porn that we're talking about, has something to do with the fact that it's still relevant today, right? Like this are these songs that over time they just kind of stayed. But it's a testament to the music, though. The music's probably fantastic. It's not just like something that was, just made up and it's BS. It's not Taylor Swift.
The music is wonderful.
Earning a Grammy. It's not
Taylor Swift 2023 Person of the Year.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I saw that.
She loves football. She loves balls. So I take it you weren't a big gamer.
I was a gamer socially. I'm a man of a certain nerd level, and so friends would play games and that sort of stuff. But once I got to college, I don't think I've bought many video games since. Yeah, not really my thing.
I would say I mean I love playing video games. At a certain point, I just couldn't do it anymore. My attention level. Plus, with 3 kids in the house and a wife, a couple dogs, and a business, it's really hard to be like, what? I'm the kind of person that likes to have my space, and once that space is interrupted, I can't.
I am currently undergoing a video game. So last year, I tried to do things in year chunk times.
Okay.
So one year I got into woodworking, another year I got into baking, last year I got into marathon training, and then this year I've been playing through the entire Legend of Zelda series, all of them.
So are you looking to end this in 2 weeks?
No, it's probably going to spill over a little bit into 2024. I still haven't done the first 2 games in the series. I was saving those for last.
Ooh.
Because I hear that they're extra challenging.
They are.
And without you'll find all the tips and tricks everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying my best to do it without any gamer guides, but I've played through now 12 games, and that's what I've been doing in my free time.
Wow.
Yeah,
no,
that's great.
If you have the space to do it. There's all these TikToks and reels with husbands trying to play and their wives come in, love you, honey. Seriously. But it's a thing. You can't concentrate and you can't do it.
No, you can. You just have to ignore your surroundings.
No, in peril.
What?
There might be an issue.
No.
Just ignore it?
You're not there.
Okay. Well, so all this aside, it spawned massive amounts of interest on YouTube. Even its own video games have spawned its own genre. So we've got something called Nintendocore.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Nintendocore is a broadly defined, from Wikipedia, defined style of music that commonly fuses chiptune and video game music with hardcore punk and or heavy metal. And the genre is sometimes considered a subgenre of post-hardcore. I'm talking about genres. There's tons of bands out there. Horse the Band, I Fight Dragons, Math the Band, and Albatross, and one you just told me, which is great.
The Mini Bosses?
The Mini Bosses!
I like
That's
that.
such a great name.
Yeah.
I love that. Horse the Band is an American metalcore band, best known for 8-bit video game influence. And it's, do I have a...
What is 8-bit?
Well, so 8-bit is the number of bits that were in the graphics cards of those systems originally. So, the NES, Nintendo Entertainment System, was an 8-bit system.
Right.
The Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo were 16-bit systems.
Right.
Nintendo 64, shockingly, a 64-bit system.
Right. Okay.
So Mini Bosses, are they signed?
I don't think so. Or they were... yeah. I have a friend who's an obsessive Mini Bosses fan, and would go see them all the time.
This sounds like Mega Man.
I think it is one of the Mega Man songs.
Video games went through this genesis where they had we'll start with in a second. We're going to start with the early Koji Kondo. Thank you. Early music where it was composed and it was 8-bit, but it had this very kind of progressive thing, and then I went to the early 90s with this fun dancey rock hillbilly stuff like this.
Hillbilly?
I don't know what I said hillbilly for. Is that hillbilly?
No,
that's
it's like prog rock.
it's kind of like prog rock, huh? The beginning wasn't though.
It's a big fat snare drum.
Yeah.
It's like, pow.
Horse the Band was similar too. So this is more the 8-bit thing.
Yeah, Horse the Band is more like the replicating the sounds.
Rave synth.
That's weird because I thought it was more 8-bit.
Some of their stuff is, I think, more.
There it is. This is Murder. I've played Cutsman before.
So that tone, you'll find it on a lot of keyboards, and it's called square pad.
Mm-hmm.
You have it on all the Pro Tools.
Essentially, what it is, it's a sine wave. It's just a single sine wave. So there's no overtone series to it. It's just the pitch, just the principle, and no overtones. That's how it's got that just like blank. And that's why they used it, I would imagine, in video games, is because it's so low data, or so.
I would imagine so. Yeah.
The load of it is just so you could fit it into 8 bits.
Yeah.
In the culture of video games, you had cool things like Easter eggs. Easter eggs describe the secret features in video games and originates from a 1980 video game adventure for the Atari 2600 game console. If you're a nerd like me and you watched Ready Player One, they go over this. It was programmed by the employee Warren Robinett, and he put his name in a part, and then somebody found it.
Huh.
And then wrote him, like, what is this? And there's a great documentary about the people that created these games, the early games. They weren't allowed to get any credits, none of that stuff. And some of them complained about that for a long time. Do you know any Easter eggs in the game that you have now, stuff that you find that's like, oh, that's kind of cool?
Yeah, plenty. I mean, in the written Hylian text, it's actually... You can decipher it, and then like you'll find like signposts that like will point you to different parts of the map. Will actually say things like this way and that way, and then there are so many Easter egg callbacks to other games in the series as well, and in the music itself. There's a lot of like for example, the game that I'm playing right now, The Legend of Zelda: Wind Waker. You go to a place called Forest Haven, and you'll hear melodic motifs of the Hidden Woods theme from Ocarina of Time. The you guys know what I'm talking about, right?
No, I thought I went like this.
Yeah. Anyway, you hear just like pieces of that melody and in Breath of the Wild too, as you're riding around on horseback, very slow and very faint in the background. So slow that like it's indiscernible unless you're listening for it. Is the Zelda's lullaby.
Doesn't go like this.
Nope. That's the Macarena of Time.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Just want to get that clear.
So yeah, like Easter eggs musically, there are so many in that series, and I would imagine in many other series too. Like I recently was just playing the new Mario with my nephew. Mario.
It's not Odyssey. Odyssey was the last one.
It's not Odyssey.
Yeah.
It's like the fresh new one.
Yeah, we just played it in the store the other day, my son and I.
It's cool, but like you can hear in the music like how I'm sure that they probably stick in like a couple themes from like Mario 64 or the original.
I recently watched the Super Mario Brothers movie with my son.
Oh yeah,
and he's a kid who's 7, so he's a big YouTube guy.
Mm-hmm.
And every couple minutes, he's like, "See, Dad, that's an Easter egg referencing back to this Mario game." Like he knew every reference in the movie.
Wow!
Even though he's never played the games, he just watches YouTube videos about other people playing the games and finding the Easter eggs.
Did you watch the TV show back in the day, the Super Mario TV show?
Super Mario the Super Hour? Of course I did.
So in the beginning of the movie where they did this, the Mario Brothers plumbing the game. Yeah,
exactly.
I didn't see it.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet. And so they made that reference, eh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, this brings us to Koji Omakandagawa.
Koji Kondo.
Thank you. He's a Japanese music composer. Is that racist, by the way?
Yeah.
It's not racist. I'll put it that way.
Daniel.
Just having fun. We're just having fun. Just having fun. I'm just want to
Can't say anything anymore.
Just want to. Okay, boomer. Koji Kondo is a Japanese music composer, pianist, and sound director for the video game company Nintendo. Now, he was the original composer for the Zelda series,
that's
the
correct.
one that you so frequent.
Yep.
So did they reuse some of that music? There it is. Did they reuse that stuff?
Oh yeah, yeah. That's what I was saying. You find both melodic motifs here and there, but then like main themes, you'll find them throughout the entire series, like in there.
Bum, ba-da-dun, da-da-dun, 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 dun. There's nothing worse in the original Zelda than having that damn wood sword.
Yeah.
So bad. It's the worst weapon.
It's dangerous to go alone.
It just doesn't kill anything.
Wasn't The Adventures of Link the second Zelda game the first game you could save on the Nintendo?
Oh.
Is that right?
I'm pretty sure it was. I remember my cousin had it, and she's like 7 years older than I am, and she was showing it to me, and I could not believe you could save a game. Because at that point, all video games were like this single-user experience.
Yes.
Where you sat down, and you played until you
wow.
won or you
Until
lost,
you won
and
or
that
you
was it.
lost.
That's wild.
And so that was a game changer, yeah.
Is that the same? Did they have a code? I think it was a code that you had to put in. It was
think
like
so, yeah.
very long too.
Yes.
It was like
Yes.
XYZPTRB.
You had to hold down the game. I think you had to hold down a button on the controller while you pressed the button on the system itself. Like it was very complicated, but you could save, and that was a big deal. Unlocking a memory from 30 years ago.
Yeah. Very sad days too. Okay. His work in the Mario, we'll unlock that later. We'll unpack it. His work in the Mario and the Zelda series have been cited as the most memorable in video games, such as Super Mario Brothers Overworld theme. How does that go, Kevin? So is that in an odd time?
Nope.
But rhythmically, it's so just out of this world. Phew. Yeah. And that's not?
No, that's in a regular 3/4. There, I mean, it gets weird and crazy toward the end of the. No, dear. I messed that up. But that's a combination of different subdivisions that give you the temporal illusion of there being a different time signature, but
Okay.
it's not.
It's not.
It fits.
That's wild, because I always thought, because I've never played it, that it was in a different time signature.
But I will tell you that
You will.
boss fights are notorious, and I know this from just the Zelda series, but across the genre of video games,
Yeah.
boss fights are in weird, crazy time signatures. 13/8,
Well, I would
11/16.
I would think it's because it's trying to induce
Exactly.
this sort
Anxiety.
of anxiety, discomfort, and
Yeah.
so those time signatures just naturally don't roll in your brain easily.
It's funny. I was having this conversation with a student yesterday who's learning a Jethro Tull song, something of the past, living in the past.
Oh, metal, yes.
Yeah, metal. It goes. But that's 5/4 time. 1, 2, 3,
So
4,
metal.
5. And I showed him Take 5, and I showed him 15 Step from Radiohead, and I showed him the Mission Impossible theme, which is also all in 5/4, and also the Sloth by a Fish.
But who's counting?
But the reason, and like we'll take Mission Possible for example, the reason the composer chose 5/4 for the theme song to a TV show about high stakes, high pressure, bomb diffusing, espionage type subject matter is because it, on a neurological level, makes the viewer nervous.
Yes.
It fills you with anxiety because we're used to 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, anxiety. So, but that was in 4/4, right?
You can't be anxious when you're playing in 4. And those 2 chords, yeah. Doesn't work.
So that's why the composer chose 5/4, because he knew that an odd time signature would make people anxious, which is what you would want to listen from a viewer from watching a show that's about like high stakes, high pressure situations. And so if you're in a boss fight, it would not be uncommon for you to find 5/4, 5/8, 11/13, 8/16, and so on, 9/16.
So this is a jump off point for the Prog thing I was talking about. So there's a great Reddit thread, I guess. You don't Reddit.
Thread. I think thread is the proper term.
Yeah. So I'm starting to like. We have to.
Are you following my Threads account yet?
I'm not.
Just want a quick plug on my Threads account, viewers. You can find me at probably at Kev Bagar on Threads.
It's gonna look good on the cutting room floor. For starters, look at the work of Koji Kondo, the composer of Nintendo, as we talked about before. His Hyrule Castle, did I say that right?
Hyrule Castle.
Hyrule Castle theme pretty much overly takes inspiration from Deep Purple's April. This is from a Reddit. It's a very well written thread where he gives these.
Now, which Hyrule Castle theme?
I don't know.
A link to the past, a link between worlds from Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild Hyrule Castle theme is freaking cool. Light it on fire.
This is April from Deep Purple.
Oh, this is Deep Purple?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
This is 12 minutes long, so it's prog rock. Oh.
I can instantly hear the video game.
Yeah.
I heard.
Point here being that there are roots to the celebrated artist versus the video game.
Yeah.
That also sounds a lot like sort of classic, like medieval church music in some ways,
yes.
and some Renaissance music. Mm-hmm. And so there's, you can keep going back and back and back with that stuff.
The same goes for Zelda's Lullaby and Steve Hackett's Hand of the Priestess. Let's see what this sounds like. Voyage of the Acolyte.
Oh, that is the theme.
Yeah. He says, the melody is only a few notes off, and the overall atmosphere is identical to me personally.
So if you compare that to the theme from Zelda's Lullaby, and if you played Ocarina of Time, part of the mechanic in the game is you have this Ocarina of Time. It's a small instrument, and you play 3 notes on it, and then it that does something. Like it activates, like you warp somewhere, or you get a power or whatever. So that the first 3 notes of that melody, what was that? Was it the Ocarina?
Yeah.
That is Zelda's Lullaby. I don't know what this is. It's not important. Zelda's Lullaby is.
This is Steve Hackett. Steve Hackett of Genesis.
Yeah.
Whose guitar work in the early Genesis stuff does sound like video game music.
It does, yeah.
Yeah. Didn't really think of it. So, again, going back to the beginning, all of these artists have gotten a tremendous amount of awards and accolades and all that stuff. But meanwhile, like they're taking some of this prog rock stuff, they're putting it in video games, and it's going unnoticed. It's not celebrated the same way. It sounds a little racist.
I would say that it's harder to compare like regular music industry music, whether it's jazz or prog rock or classical or whatever. It's hard to compare that to video game music versus like movie soundtracks to video game music. I would say that there's an easier comparison to be made to movie soundtracks than there is to just regular songs. That's the focus of the product. It's the song.
Yeah.
Right, and I would think that for both of those, the composer is given some visuals to work with. Here's a scene from a movie.
Exactly.
Give us something that works with this. Here is this layout of this level.
Right.
Music would work well for this. So it's not pure composition in the sense of someone is sitting down at a piano and just writing a piece of music because they feel something. You're composing it to, you're refining it to a specific purpose.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go to the 100 most iconic video game music-y things. This is, we're not going to get through all 100.
Is that from Forbes?
And we will play this, hopefully not get shut down. Spoilers. Oh, no spoilers. So, Pac-Man.
Pac-Man, yep.
So that's one of the Pac-Man came out in the late 70s?
Maybe or early 80s. I'm not exactly sure when Pac-Man debuted.
Pac-Man.
Close.
So what is this? What's the time signature on that? 1980.
No, probably like 4/4.
Really?
Oh, I thought you said 1980 is the time. No.
I'm also somebody who makes everything into 4/4.
Yeah.
I count everything in 4/4.
Mike DeProspero has always said and always continues to say everything's in 4/4 if you don't count it like a nerd. Thanks, Mike.
Wow.
But it's so true.
That's Tombstone
Material
right there. I like that. All right, let's go to the next one. Let's see what happens here. So this is not prog rock. This is Donkey Kong. That to me sounds.
Merry Christmas.
Oh. Only snippets. That's more like.
It's like a minuet almost.
Yeah.
Ah, very good. Okay. Oh, what's this? That is Tetris.
That is Tetris.
1984.
Yes.
We have an interesting story about this, don't we?
Yeah. So you found that factoid.
Yeah, so it's a Russian folk song, and I was at a concert once, and it was a Weezer concert. The band opening for Weezer was a band no one had ever heard of before, and people were kind of giving them like a lukewarm reception, and they played this song, and the place went nuts because it was all guys who grew up playing Tetris, and it was just very cool at the moment. But yeah, I mean, it's a Kevin. You found an official state version of this, right? Essentially,
yeah. So this is from the YouTube channel Comrade Phantasm.
I used to dance into that name.
And it's performed by the Red Army Choir, and it's
That sounds very communist.
Well, I mean,
yeah. Comrade
Phantasm. Koro Beniki. Koro Beniki.
Do we hit music? Okay. You got to send me the link so I can find it. I mean, that's the melody.
Yeah.
There was a movie about Tetris, wasn't there, recently?
Yes. So this is the band actually that I saw. This is
60s.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So you just imagine.
It just needs to end with the.
Ooh, what chord is that?
That's the spy chord.
It's spy chord. Is that officially a spy chord?
That's what I call it. It's
Okay.
Major, minor, 9.
It's intrigue. You were going to say something, Brian?
I was going to say, you can just imagine a room full of sweaty nerds going crazy for that.
It's sweaty nerds. No, actually, I don't want to imagine a room of sweaty nerds. That's.
I think you're in one right now.
So, you sure are. Welcome to the party, comrade.
I have not brought my. I have no joke. Okay, next one. Okay. We've gone through this. This is the
Mario
old
Brothers, yep.
Super Mario Brothers. don't see how that's in regular time.
You just snapped in time.
This is the underwater music for Mario. This is definitely 3/4.
So this is more what? That's there's a type of music. It's
Almost
like
a waltz.
Waltz. Thank you. This is Castlevania. I love this game.
I never played.
That's a jam too.
That's very cool. Dragon Warrior.
That sounds very traditionally Asian.
Sounds more royal, no?
I'd say medieval sounding.
You say it sounds Asian?
Asian?
I could definitely hear Legend of Zelda, of course. More Zelda.
This is Metroid.
Oh, that's yes. I'm sorry.
This is one I've never seen.
I know. I recognize this from a meme trend recently.
What is
This is DuckTales.
Woo.
Yeah. This is a very high note.
Yes, it is.
We got a few more to go through. Final Fantasy. Do you ever play that?
Yeah.
Talk about the ultimate nerd game.
Yeah.
This is the victory theme. It's Castlevania. What's cool about that, it's got like that classic horror theme going on in the background, like that old keyboard, but it's got a beat to it. I still think that there is a strong resemblance to the music that was released under prog rock, and now it's put under an 8-bit theme for like 10 to 12 to 15 years, and then it's not recognized as anything.
What is prog rock? What is progressive rock? I would think it's like rock with elements of other genres,
Specifically
classical
I'd say,
music,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I would liken a lot of it more to classical personally than to rock. But I mean, yeah, you look up like prog rock version of any of those tunes, you'll find it on YouTube.
Yes.
100%.
Oh yeah.
I had a link here.
What's the what are the kids playing now?
My kids are big. My son's a big Minecraft guy.
Yeah, Fortnite. We just recently bought the new Modern Warfare, and I've been dying to play it because I haven't played anything in years. So I go downstairs, and my son's playing it. I'm like, all right, let me try. And I just haven't played in like 2 years. Last thing we played was
and now Danny hasn't played since then.
Yeah.
And last thing we played together was Gears of War. That was during 2020. That's the last time I picked up a joystick or whatever. Joystick. Game controller. Sorry.
Last time I dusted off the old pong.
And I'm gonna video his version of this and hopefully play it because it's really funny because like I couldn't move the guy. It was like the specific, like I'm walking against the wall kind of thing. So I'll give his version of the story. It's actually really funny, and we'll play it right now. But yeah, it's I'm really bad at video games now. Really bad.
Oh,
It's a skill that I've lost.
Yeah, probably.
Yes.
Sorry, you'll
Big
never
time.
Get back. Yeah, sorry.
I have to. If I play too many video games, I'm gonna probably be divorced. Okay. So should video games get a little bit more credit in the mainstream media, in the mainstream, recognition machine?
No, we don't want you normies coming in and ruining it for everybody.
Oh, okay. Well, I think at some point it's going to get taken over if you've got that many views of a broadcast.
Yeah.
I don't know how many are individual, but 25,000 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame views versus 100 million views of the gaming awards. I would say you really can't hold a candle to that.
No, and it points to like this where people's interests are in 2023. You know, and
well, I also think I'm going to somewhat bristle at the idea that video games aren't mainstream. I don't know if the Oscars are mainstream anymore. Like, I think that
switched.
Video games are more the cultural norm, and these other awards shows that still think people care about medleys of songs from movies matter. Like, I don't know. I don't know if that's the case anymore.
I'm old enough to remember being told when I was a kid that video games would rot my brain.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
You know, and there's a book called Everything Bad is Good for You. I think that's what it's called. Or it's called Everything Good is Bad for You. And in there, the author is talking about, he sets up like a hypothetical version of Earth where books are deemed bad for you, and the reason is because they're a passive experience. You learn no agency, you exhibit no control, and you just have to sit there and take the information. Whereas video games are good for you because you have to make decisions, you have to have agency, you have to have problem solving. I think that's a totally valid position.
Plus, how are you going to fly a drone into a
wedding?
Right.
Or like into a group of soldiers?
Right. Or use a backup camera on your car. Right.
How are you going to be able to do that?
I only back up into spaces because of video games. Thank you, Capcom. Thank you, Nintendo.
And that's a shame.
Yep.
I had to turn off when I was teaching my oldest daughter how to drive. I had to turn off the backup camera.
Really?
I had to
because she was relying on it.
She was,
Yeah.
and like at some point you need to have a
Know how to
sense.
do it, yeah.
However, that doesn't mean it's bad. It's just that it's a technology you can rely on when you've gotten a skill. And
Question.
plus,
How often do you parallel park with the Roadster feature
the Roadster feature
or the Tesla feature?
No, I never do.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Because I don't know how to use it. I can't figure it out.
You're like the guy who can't figure out how to stop walking into
No,
a
I
wall in a video
seriously
game.
can't figure out how to use it.
I'll just walk to the other side of the room with my legs. They're
I'm a
perfectly
really
fine.
good parallel parker, first of all.
Okay.
I'm one of the Parkers. I'm the parallel parker.
You're not Peter Parker?
I'm not Peter Parker or Parker Posey.
Parker Posey.
That's a 90s reference for you right there.
Parker Posey, I love her.
Oh, absolutely. The Days of Confused.
Oh, God. She's great. But if you live in Queens and you lived in Astoria, and if you're anywhere in Manhattan, you had to get your giant car into a size that it shouldn't fit in.
Right.
So I don't need that stuff. It's fine. That's all I want to say about this. Is there anything you would like to say about this?
Nope.
Brian, is there anything you want to say? We're giving you the stage here now. We trust you with your knowledge.
Shinobi 3 is a very underrated game for the Sega Genesis. That's all.
Who knew? I love the Sega Genesis, man.
Yep.
It was.
I still have mine.
Really?
I do, yes.
NBA Jam.
Oh, man. He's on fire.
NBA Jam, and then NHL 92,
NHL
93?
Blitz or whatever that one was. Yeah, good games.
Yeah. If you've ever seen Swingers is a movie.
Yep.
From the late 90s, and it references that, and it's totally like a generational thing because you could check somebody in the game and they'd be on the floor and their head would be bleeding.
Yep.
Oh, look, his little head is bleeding.
Yeah.
But yeah, check out the video game music. You must do that. It is a must for anybody that likes movies. If you're an old person, an old boomer, knock it off. Go check out some video game music. You'd probably like it. Or die. Anything else you want to say about that?
No.
All right. Real Brave is a music school for kids. See you next week.
Are we done?
That's really
all right. Oh.
I know.
We have videos with a whole number fraction of that.
Yeah. What's happening here? Why am I stuck? I'm stuck.
You trying to hang yourself right now?
It's all part of my elaborate plan to take over the show. Trap Dan in his seat.
What is happening, dude?
Or are you perhaps sitting on it?
Okay, that's much better.